Welcome to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, where you can hear your favorite performers talk about how they got started, their careers, and everything in between. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify at Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, and on my main Broadway account at Broadway_Corner on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. I hope you are having the best day ever. And today our guest is an alumnus of my school, BOCO, and currently plays the wonderful and beautiful May on the National Juliet Tour. It is Nico Ochoa. Hi Nico, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing so good today. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Hey. Yes, thank you. I believe what you said is your day off. So I know as a performer that is a big sacrifice, so I appreciate it so much.
This
Uh,
is but a fraction of my day off. Don't worry, I will still relax today, but I'm so happy to be
all
here.
all the self-care things that we all need to keep us going for those long weeks. But to tell you a little bit about Nico, Nico is New York City's fresh-faced, Virginia-born and raised performer. They hope to use their art to represent and uplift the voices of queer and BIPOC communities through multiple art forms, including but not limited to singing, dancing, acting, drag, music, and more. Proud to be a gender fluid and mixed race performer, being half Filipino and half Colombian. They live on the crossroads of Asian excellence and Latina Flare. You can catch Nico around North America playing May in the first National and Juliet Tour. There's so much to talk about there. I mean,
Ah,
the
thank
first time
you.
I the first time I knew about you was as a freshman, and so it's just so cool when, we see people graduate and go off into the world and the industry, and to see you just absolutely shining is the coolest thing. I mean, you're literally you have your headshot is in the BOCO theater office.
Ah.
A whole a whole presentation, whatever, display of all the people who are on like different tours in Broadway and stuff. And so you're right there. And I always look at it when I pass by. But
That is
it's
so
so nice.
amazing.
It's so wonderful just to see you and to finally meet you and chat with you. But how are you doing today?
Doing so good. No, it's crazy that you say that because we were literally just talking about how, like, when you're at BOCO, like, I feel like there's always just so much going on. Like, this is technically our first time, like, really sitting down and talking together. Because, like, I think we had 2 years of overlap, but in those 2 years, we didn't find, it was just one. Wait, are you a
Yeah,
junior or are you a senior?
I'm a current junior.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were a senior. Oh my gosh, I'm even more impressed now. Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I did not realize that. We only
Yeah,
had
yeah,
one
only
year of
1 year.
overlap then. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, my mind is blown right now, by the way. Um, but yeah, that is so wild because again, like I did not go to BOCO for my freshman year. I went to another school my freshman year, and I transferred into BOCO for my sophomore, junior, and senior years. But yeah, I from everything I hear about freshman year at BOCO, it's so chaotic, and then also senior year is also so chaotic. There's so much that you're doing to prepare. You're really like focusing in on yourself and your art and your craft and getting ready for showcase and the real world. So like we didn't have really any crossover too much, but like I knew of you. I followed you since then, and I've always like tried to my best to keep up. So it's really amazing. It feels like really full circle to like be on your podcast right now. Like I'm like so excited.
I know that means so much to me. I don't know how I hadn't thought of it sooner. I think I've just been in like the trenches of being in a BFA program, and then I was like, how have I never asked Nico to do a podcast? I have no idea. But here we are, and I'm so excited just to get into
Yeah,
all of the things.
yeah.
But first, before we jump into, Boko or Angelia, just like, can you talk about your background and kind of where you grew up, where you went to school, and when you discovered theater?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, also, by the way, I'm getting over like the cast cold just hit us. So like if I clear my throat or if you see me like blowing my nose at some point,
We're all
that's
good.
what's going on. We're all going through it a little bit, you know? So today,
Definitely.
just a little grace. Thank you. But yeah, just talking a little bit about it. Like I said, I went to BOCO, but before that I grew up in Fairfax, Virginia, where that's where my love of theater began. I did like the middle school musical when I was in the 8th grade. And prior to that, I did like the school talent show, and the talent show was run by the drama teacher. So I was in 7th grade and I did the talent show at the end of the year. And I sang "Do You Want to Build a Snowman" with my friend Rose. And the drama teacher was like, "Nico, why didn't you audition for the musical?" And I was like, "I didn't know like that was a thing. Like I didn't know how to do that." Um, and she was like, "Okay, well next year you have to audition for the musical." And I did. And next year they did Grease, the school version. So I auditioned for Grease, and I was in the ensemble. And I also understudied Duty, which is the greaser who plays the guitar. Um, and ever since then, like literally, I've devoted my time and energy. It's like I've devoted my everything to theater. It really is my like theater is my first love. Like for real, for real. Like I think I used to like think about it in chunks of like in the summer I would do a show at the community theater. In the fall I would help out with the middle school show, and in the spring I would be in the spring musical. Like I would always have to be doing some sort of theater. Whether it was like
You're one from day one.
yeah, whether it was like performing in the ensemble or performing like in like the community theater in the summer. And in the fall, like I said, I would like I would either dance captain or be on the run crew or be a stage manager for the middle school shows. So that's I think where I got a lot of my like love for like backstage and crew. Like I love all of our crew, especially at and Juliet. I love them all. They're so amazing. But like that's where like my love and respect for like backstage workers and crew workers comes from, because I used to do that in high school. Anytime I wouldn't get cast in a show, I would be like, okay, I didn't get cast. I'm gonna work on the crew then. Like I still am gonna be part of the show. And I did that. Like I feel like the longest chunk of time that I've gone since then without doing a show has maybe been like I think I took a bit of a hiatus after I did after my sophomore year at BOCO. I did a summer stock, and I was like, I'm gonna take a hiatus. And between West Side Story was the summer stock I did, and Into the Woods was the spring musical at BOCO my junior year. That was the longest period of time I went without doing a show, which was about like 6 months. But I like have to be doing something. Like I love to be working on something.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. And like with the culture here, it's like, oh, if you're not doing something, it's like, what are you doing? So
Yeah, yeah,
some-
yeah.
sometimes we do need to take a step back, but it's always
That was,
fun
I
to
think,
just
what
be
that
involved.
moment was. Yeah, I think that moment in time when I was at Boca, I was like, honestly, I think I'm just kind of burning myself out. I need to like take some time. And in that time, I really like. That was probably also the time at Boca when I got the best grades in my life, because I wasn't doing any shows, and I was really like focused on my schoolwork. I got really good grades. My junior year was like probably my best grades I ever got.
Wait, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure the teachers are all happy about that.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, it gets hard when you have like rehearsal till 11 and you have a 9 a.m. You're like, am I gonna make it? That was
Am I
me,
gonna make
maybe.
it? Yeah.
Am I gonna make it to school? Am I gonna do any of this stuff? We don't know, but we do.
We
But
do
you
it.
made such an impact, performing and just creating at BOCO. And, I only got to see you do one show, which was Edith Can Shoot Things and Hit Them, but that was like my favorite thing I saw like that whole year, I think. But do
Oh.
you have like a favorite BOCO memory or just something especially chaotic with knowing how this school goes?
I feel like I really like honestly everything I did in my senior year I was really really proud of. From Edith Can Shoot Things and Hit Them, just being part of that show, because we tried putting that show up many times. And when we finally were able to do it through Malia's senior directed, it was like so magical and so amazing, because it was a small cast, but it was a full cast and creative team of people of color. You know, the only non-person of color on that was Charlie, who was our amazing ASM stage manager and props and everything. You know, he was amazing. And Yeah, Edith was a really big one, but also it's a tough toss up because also there's Rooted in Unity started that year, which was also such a big a big task that we had to take on. Like I knew I couldn't do it alone. Malia and Issa knew that they couldn't do it alone, so like we combined our forces and we like revived the color cabaret. Um and like created that tradition, which like and I see it on the Instagram every time I see them post and them talking about events that they're doing. It makes me so happy, and I always have to comment I always comment like three little hearts. Like that's like I'm like my little hearts like, oh, it's still going strong. No matter like who's a part of it, as long as that space exists for people, for of the global majority to like feel seen and be able to have a space where they can perform. Um, that's really special to me. And then, and
Yeah,
then
no,
there's
oh wait, sorry,
also
you can go.
sorry. There's also the drag cabaret that the drag show that I feel like I also revitalized my year because prior to my senior year, that drag show had only had like about the biggest audience that drag show had ever had was like 12 people. And like my senior year, I got like a whole bunch of people to not only perform in it, but to come see the show and just have a really fun night and experience some drag in our local theater community, in our student body, which is so amazing. So it's just like all parts of me, like, and I think this goes along with like my bio that you read at the beginning of our interview here. Like, it really goes along everything that I did in my senior year at BOCO is kind of tied into a bow in that little bio. Like all of my beautiful queer experiences were tied into a bow with the drag show at BOCO, and then all of my beautiful like experiences of being a BIPOC person just like tied into Edith and also the Rooted in Unity cabaret. Um, yeah, so it was hard to pick, but my senior year as a whole, I feel really lucky and grateful for.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, the drag show this year is being, I think, hosted by one of like the people in my class. So it's like it's so cool. And I'm in the drag performance like class and
Are you
everything.
really?
Yeah,
Yay!
it's such a cool thing just to explore like this side, I think, of the art form that maybe not as many people know the history behind.
Yeah.
But it's just it's cool to see how you have really made such a huge impact here. And, hopefully there will be many more years of all of that. And do you have any advice for people currently going through like the college audition process? Like my brother is just finishing it up and trying to decide where he's going. And since
Yeah.
you said you like were a transfer as well, which
Yeah,
getting
I can speak on that a
BOCO,
little bit.
yeah, getting into BOCO as a transfer as a sophomore is especially hard. But can you just talk about like your journey through that and how you ended up here?
Yeah, I remember. So I originally graduated high school in 2019. And so I should have originally graduated college in 2023, but I didn't end up graduating college until 2024 because of the pandemic slash my transfer process. And I originally went to the University of the Arts, which she's no longer open
Yeah.
in Philadelphia. But it was really tough because I remember the college audition process. Nobody realizes how tough that process is except for theater kids and their parents sometimes. And even then parents don't even realize it because I don't think my parents realized how difficult of a process it was until the only school I got into originally was UArts. Which is why I went there because I was like, all right, they're the only ones who accepted me, then that's where I'm gonna go because I have to do this with my life. Um, and I feel like my biggest piece of advice is if this is what you want to do, audition for the schools, do as much as you can. Don't spread yourself too thin. Like I think it's a common thing for people to audition for a lot of schools, which that is kind of the best way to go about it. You want to cast your net really wide because you never know what school at what time on whatever day you're auditioning who's gonna look at you and be like, huh, Nico would make a really great performer in our program. Like, let's send Nico an offer. You never know, like, how you're gonna do that day. So I think, like, I auditioned for 13 schools, and again, it can happen like that where you only get into one. But look at me, I'm still doing the thing, and it's still possible, which is, I feel like a great testament to do whatever, you know, as long as you're staying true to yourself. Um, and even like while transferring, I don't recommend, I wouldn't necessarily say I recommend transferring, but if you end up somewhere and you don't find yourself to be 100% happy and you think you can do more, do better, do something else, find something that feels more right for you, follow that. Like, I 100% am in support of following that. And what's really lucky is like people transfer, especially in the musical theater, like school, in musical theater school industry, I guess you could call it. Like,
Yeah.
there's a big community of people who transferred. I remember, like, the same way that Boko has like the school body, student body, Facebook groups, stuff like that. And like other schools will have like their student body in like a Facebook group, or like there's big WhatsApps and stuff like that. Like, there was a big WhatsApp group for people who were class of 2023 who were transfers. So like, you're not doing it alone. You know, no matter what you decide, you're not doing it alone, which I think is very comforting for a lot of people who sometimes can feel like they're alone. Like, I remember a lot during my transfer process, I felt like I was alone. Luckily, like my best friend, we both transferred from UArts to BOCO. So luckily I had her throughout that entire process. Um, but yeah, like I would just recommend people like sticking to their guns and like really leading with themselves, honestly.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's also what you were saying, like advocating for yourself. Like if something isn't working, you can make a change if it's necessary. And it worked out, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and so now let's get into what we've all been waiting to talk about,
Oh
Angela, which is a show that I have personally seen 3 times on Broadway.
my god.
Um, I saw like the original cast, and then I think I saw it again when the original cast was still there, and then I saw like some replacements later on. But it's like a show that I've just loved for a long time, and a show that I think has made such a positive impact on the world and on the industry. I mean, it's global. And Juliet is global. It's
Okay.
everywhere. In Australia, London, Canada, US. But how did you get involved with Anne Juliet?
So, okay, it's a really, I would say it's a long story, but it's really not a long, long story. I would say the first time I even like heard of Anne Juliet was, I remember seeing like, I'm a theater person, so a lot of my YouTube is like theater stuff. So like you get theater ads on YouTube, and I remember getting like Anne Juliet ads on my YouTube, and I was like, oh, I know these songs. That's really cool. I have nothing against a jukebox musical, and I think Anne Juliet does a really good job at being a really good jukebox musical,
Thank
if I do say so myself. But I remember listening to the soundtrack, and I remember listening to I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman. And that was like my first like instance, one of my first instances with Anne Juliet. My very, very first instance with Anne Juliet, fun story, was when um, my friend, and you know her as well, Malia went to London and just was, I think, was visiting friends, like seeing some shows, like just on a vacation, and saw Anne Juliet. And the night that Malia saw Anne Juliet, she texted me, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna play May. You're gonna play May one day. By the way, like you need to listen to Anne Juliet because you're gonna play May." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "It's like 4 a.m. because like the time difference."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they kept telling me, they were like, "You just need just listen to Anne Juliet. Like, you are gonna play May. Like you will play May one day." So Malia was like technically my first ever anything with Anne Juliet, just because she saw the show and was like, "You gotta play May. You have to play May." And from that point, I went to the soundtrack. I listened to the soundtrack, and I was like, wow. And I really resonated with Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman. Um, because at that time, I was really like experimenting with my pronouns. And I think around that time is when I started using all pronouns. Um, and yeah, I just listened to that song, and I was like, wow, like I have to play this role. I have to play this role at some day, one day. And it kind of sat at the back of my head. It was on my I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman was on my show tunes playlist. I would sing it every once in a while. Um, but that just kind of sat in the background for a while until it was my senior year, and it was January, like right before the spring semester starts. It was January, and Juliet posted that they were doing open call, a virtual open call for the tour, for the first year national tour. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. Like, I'm gonna book the Anne Juliet tour. And I recorded my song, I submitted it, and unfortunately, from that point, nothing really happened because open calls, casting, especially at a virtual open call, for something so new, it was the first ever national tour of Anne Juliet. Sometimes they don't get watched. That is the reality. But you always, if you can and you have the energy, I'm so like, you always send it into the void. Because if you don't send it into the void, then you're for sure not going to book the audition. But if you send it into the void, then maybe you'll hear something. So that's kind of where I was at with that. And then senior year, they also do the agent workshops, which is coming up for you next year. And I don't know if you've heard any of the seniors talk about it, but the agent workshops are really amazing, because like BOCO will bring in they'll bring in casting directors, they'll bring in agents, like every once in a while. I think it's like 3 times a semester or 2 or 3 times a semester. They'll bring in some agents who like BOCO has really good rapport with them. So like they have good communication with them. So they'll come in and give like a workshop slash masterclass. And it was February. This was around the time that Rooted in Unity was also happening, which is like not a lot of people know this because I was like going through a lot of stuff, and right around the time when Edith was happening as well. So I was doing a lot. Ooh,
Yeah.
this might blow your mind just a little bit. So CGF was the talent agency that was visiting BOCO, and at the time, Back to the Future and Juliet, they were casting for their tours. And
Yeah.
so everybody had the opportunity to get up in front of the agents and perform a 16-bar cut. And I sang Dressing Them Up from Kiss of the Spider Woman. And he had clocked my pronouns in my resume. And he saw that I used they, them pronouns and that I was non binary. And he was like, I see that you use they, them pronouns. I see you're non binary. So what song would you sing if I sent you in for Anne Juliet? And I was like, I like looked the agent in the eye, and I literally was like, I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman in my book right now. Would you like to hear it? And he was like, let's hear it. And I was like, this like something's happening. Like something is about to happen right now. And I sang the song, and he gave me notes on it, and it was a really good like discussion. We had a really good back and forth talk about it. And he seemed like really impressed by me, which made me really happy. I was like, cool, that's really good. That's regardless of whatever happens from, that's really good that I got good feedback and that he gave me some notes. I can work on this. And then what was special about this workshop was we had like when you like start when you're meeting with agents, they'll do like a little interview just to
Yeah.
see if like you'll be a good fit for them and like what you're looking for and what kind of characters you play. So this was a workshop to learn how to do that interview process. And I remember Fran, who is in charge of all of the agent meetings, she was like, okay, let's see who's gonna do a practice workshop. And uh, it was his name is Christopher. I can't remember his last name in this very moment, but Christopher was like, actually, I was thinking I could talk to, and he pulled out my headshot and resume. And he was like, Nico, step into my office. His office. It was just like us in front of everyone sitting in 2 chairs, and like he did like a mock interview with me. He asked me about what kind of roles I want to play, what are my dream roles, what kinds of roles do I typically play, like do I see myself more of an actor, a singer, a dancer? And I was really honest with him, and I had a good talk with him. And yeah, after that entire workshop, everybody else got their turns to like sing for him, and like one other person got to practice the mock interview in front of everyone. I shook his hand and I was like, it was so amazing to meet you. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he was like, I'll see you at Showcase, but like, yeah, thank you. We'll be in touch. And I was like, wow. I was like, whoa, this is like so cool. And then I like begged for his email so that I could email him. And I don't remember how, but I got his email and I was like, hi, Christopher, it's Nico. Thank you so much for like everything that you like helped with us today. I had such a great time at the mock interview and the master class. Here is my link to my audition that I sent to Anne Julia. I was wondering if there was any way you could help me push it forward to casting. Um, Anne Julia May is a dream role for me. I really would appreciate any and all help. And he was like, "Oh, don't worry. Like we've already sent your information to casting. This is great. We'll push this forward too, but we'll be in touch." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I literally that week I filmed the entire May packet, which is I didn't film the entire packet. I filmed one song and two scenes, but they gave me the entire May packet, so I started preparing the entire May packet that week. And keep in mind, this is the same week as Rooted in Unity. Um, the
Yeah.
inaugural performance of Rooted in Unity, like I have all of this going on in my head. I have like classes, I have like Rooted in Unity stuff going on in my head. I now this crazy Broadway tour audition I'm like thinking about. And I do that. I get called in for initial auditions in New York, which is really amazing. Like I get called in and I audition for May. I It's like my first time ever in Ripley Greer Studios. I don't know if you're familiar, but like yeah, it's like my first time ever in Ripley Greer, and I have my headshot, my resume, I have my packet prepared in case they want me to do anything from the packet. I'm like, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. And I sing I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman, and I sing I Kissed a Girl, and I do the first scene that May is introduced into the story, and I do the Not a Girl scene into the song. So it feels like a lot, and I've never done something like this intense before. Um, so I did as amazing as I could, and it was so cool because sorry, I like spilling. This is amazing.
Fun.
um, like because this was the first national tour. Like the OG director from the West End was in the room, and all the producers were in the room. The original choreographer, which like
Jen
nowadays,
Weber?
yeah, Jen Weber
Oh my God,
was in
because
the
I
room.
she also choreographed K-pop, so
Yeah, 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 yeah. She comes to the tour every once in a
Oh
while.
my
She'll
God,
come and
that's
she'll clean us up, and I really love Jen Weber so much, so much. More on her a little bit later because I've danced for her too. It was such an honor to have been able to dance for her. But yeah, I um I did my initial. I went all the way back from New York to Boston. I took like a bus. Every single time I went, I took a bus, and I stayed with my friend Maddie, who was living in Washington Heights at the time. Thank goodness for her, because if not for her, I don't know where I would be in New York every time I had to come down. And she's like
yeah.
so good at keeping my secret. I like didn't want anybody to know that I was auditioning for this. I only told a couple friends. Um, but yeah, I came back down, and literally the next day they were like, they want you to come back tomorrow. Like, can you make it tomorrow? And I was like, and I had to tell Laura Marie Duncan and Brett Silverman. I had to be like, hey, I have a really big callback tomorrow, so I won't be in showcase class. And they're like, it's fine, like go do that. And I was like, thank you. um, so I went and I did that. It was in final callbacks for May, and I did my final callback. I felt really good about it. Um, in the room, like you could tell, it was a whole bunch of people there to be called in for May, and a whole bunch of people called in for Frankie. Um, and it was so fun because it's just a whole bunch of people, like the audition room, just like everyone reading the same thing, singing the same songs. Feels crazy. But I went in, and this time I did the entire packet, which is Not a Girl into the scene, into the song, uh, the Domino scene,
Mm.
the What Do You Want From Me scene into the song, and I Kissed a Girl. Um, and this was the first time they were going to hear me sing What Do You Want From Me, and I really wanted to impress them. So I was nice and warm. I was really focused because What Do You Want From Me was the biggest contrast to everything else that was a little bit more cutesy and a little bit
Yeah.
more like locked into the gender like navigation. It's like yeah, so it's all the colors of May they finally really get to see come out of me.
Yeah.
And I remember I finished singing What Do You Want From Me, and the director was like, wow, Nico, very, very well prepared. Like, thank you so much. That was like really, really well, great work, well done. And I was like, oh my gosh, amazing. And they kind of kept me, they asked me a couple questions, just like, he was like, how do you feel about like playing May? And I was like, it would be like a dream come true, like, especially as a non binary person, like, this is like the dream role. It's the hot commodity right now. And he also asked, like, how do you feel about playing this queer role right now in America? How would you feel about that? Because at the time, like, we were about to hit another election year, and so it was going to be an election year that we're going into, and I was like, it's scary, but I feel I feel right when I'm doing scary things and I'm owning up to the challenge of something like that. Like that feels very correct for me. And he was like really impressed by that. He was like, "Thank you. Like we'll be in touch." Blah 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 blah. And it was the longest waiting process of my life. I felt like it.
Yeah.
I remember I found out I actually did not book May during my spring break is when I found out, and I was so heartbroken because I was in I was on the phone with CGF, the talent agency. At this point, I was talking to Brett Rigby, who was another agent within CGF, and he was the one who I had been talking to on the phone every like couple days. And he was like, "So they're going with someone else. However, they know that you go to Boko and they know that you know how to dance. So they're asking if you would like to come in to dance." And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." They're like, "So keep preparing the May material because you would be coming in to dance and understudy May." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I went in. I went all the way back to New York again. This is my third time back in New York, mind you. Um, Back and forth. And this is during Edith. At this point now I'm in rehearsals for Edith. Um, and I'm back in New York and I danced with Jen Weber, which was like so awesome. She taught me blow, which
Yeah.
is such a like honestly one of my favorite moments in the show
Yeah.
because that dance routine is so much fun to do. It feels so good in the body. Like it's so much fun. So we do that, and then they see us do that, and then I again perform May material for them, and that is it. And I go back to Boston, and then what happens? 2 days later, they're like, "Can you come back up tomorrow?" And I'm like, and this time I'm going back like the day after the drag show. Oh no no no! This is I go back. Wait, it's been a minute. The first time was the day after the drag show for dance. The second time I go back was the day after Edith closed. Edith closed, and I went back down to New York and I danced Blow, and then also we danced Confident, which Confident is so much harder. Um, and at this point, they also had asked me to prepare the Francois materials. So I was going in to be in the ensemble as a player and to understudy May and Francois. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, my brain is exploding with Anne Juliet materials. Um,
Yeah.
but also all of the material is so much fun. So this time I danced Blow, I danced Confident, I sang Not a Girl, I sang Kissed a Girl, I sang Overprotected, and I did May and Frankie scenes and sides. Like it was so much. But again,
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world because it was such an amazing learning process. And
Mm.
unfortunately, after like a month of waiting, I found out after my showcase that I did not book the tour. And it was it really hurt. It was such a hard thing to like bounce back from because I had spent like from February um to May, I had been auditioning for & Juliet. Like
Yeah.
February, March, April, May, like for 4 months I had been auditioning for & Juliet, and I had made it to finals for May and for players, and I didn't get it, and I was like, okay, if it's not meant to be right now, it's not meant to be right now. So I continued with my life, and I had my final summer in Boston, and I moved to New York. I did all these other random gigs here and there, and while I was in DC performing in Head Over Heels, in I think it was like April and May, I got an email from casting, and they were like, "We're checking your availability for & Juliet, the second year of the first national tour." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so available." They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, perfect. We'd love for you to come in and audition on June 3rd." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, June 3rd. My contract in DC ends on June 1st. So I have to like switch gears immediately." And I did. And it was like really good. So I literally got back to my apartment in New York on the 2nd. And then the next morning, like I had my audition for May, and I kind of the same thing. I did all the exact same stuff. I will say something that I found very a little bit cheeky of myself to do, but also, hey, I would do it again. Is they already had my resume from the prior year, but I had done so much in my 1 year of living in New York. I had done so much, so I had an updated resume, and I was like, I walked up to the table and I was like, "Hi everyone, it's so good to see you again. Here's my updated resume." And they were like, "Oh." And I felt kind of like about that because it just felt really good to be like, "See, I've done a lot. I haven't just been waiting for this. While I have been waiting for this, I've been working, you know?" Um, so I did all the same things. I did the May packet, and they were like, "Thank you, so good to see you again, Nico. We'll be in touch." And then literally I was in the subway on my way back, and I got an email, and they were like, "Please come back tomorrow for final callbacks." And I did. I did my final callback, and I always have this weird thing where like if I am in a final callback or if I'm in a callback and I'm like, "Oh, I don't think I did very good," or I'm always like, "I don't know, that just felt weird." Typically that means I booked it. Like I had the
Oh,
same feeling. I had the same feeling when I did Into the Woods at BOCO. I was like, "Oh, that was bad. I did really bad." Or and also for when I did the prom, I was like, "That felt really weird. I don't know what that was." But I ended up booking those shows, and then that was in the end what got me to book. That was the booking audition. That was when I booked, and I didn't find out for a month later, till a month
oh,
later. So they
oh.
make you wait because also they're
They
putting all the pieces together. I think I was one of the first people to find out though, because I think they knew to call me in from the prior year, and there were people like I remember knowing all of my friends now in the cast. Like a lot of the players, they didn't find out they were booked until August, which is like a couple weeks, a week or two before we started rehearsals.
yeah.
But I had a good like month and a half to like get myself ready for rehearsals and like think about it really. um but yeah, I found out like the week after Pride. And I remember because casting reached out to me, and at the time I was working 2 jobs in New York, just like making ends meet, my survival jobs. And I was working 2 jobs, and I was at my second job. I was about to go home, and I got an email, and they were like, "We'd love to like hop on a Zoom with you if possible." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh." And I hopped on the Zoom with them. They didn't tell me I booked on the Zoom, and I kind of was like, "Dang, I have to keep waiting, like dang it." I hopped on the Zoom, and then like I literally was like, "Dang it, I'm gonna go like get food across the street." And as I'm like on my way back up to my apartment, they call me, and they're like, "Is this Nico?" And I'm like, "Yes, this is Nico." And I had a pizza in my hand, like phone in hand, going up the stairs, like pizza in my hand. And they were like, "Hi Nico, this is blah blah blah. How was your meeting with the director? Like, how was your meeting?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, amazing! Like Susanna is amazing. Like Carrie is amazing. Like They were so great to talk to. How can I help you? And they're like, that's so good. We're so happy to hear that. We're actually calling you to inform you that we are happy to offer you the role of May in the year 2 national tour of & Juliet. And I was like, oh, and I like collapsed on the stairs and I was like, oh my God. I was like screaming over the phone. I started
Yeah.
crying. It was like that was like my dream come true moment for real. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I like immediately like called my mom and my dad and my siblings and my friend, a couple of my friends that I let know. It was amazing. Like that hour of my life where I was just screaming and crying like a crazy person. Like I'll never get that hour back, but that was a pretty cool hour.
Oh my
And
gosh, what a journey of a, like,
yeah,
is that 1 or 2 years maybe of the
it's
whole
two
process?
2 years in the making for me. Yeah, 2 years in the making. Um,
That's
but yeah,
insane.
it's like 1.5, but I like to. It feels like 2 years. But yeah, it was really incredible, and then like to finally like do it, and like anytime I'm feeling like I don't even know. Anytime I'm having like a weird mental day, I literally just like think back to like how I'm literally playing like my dream role right now. It's like so amazing. And like a lot of my friends who like back home in Virginia like haven't even gotten to see me like do it yet. Like they're gonna get to see me later in Richmond when we're in Richmond in May. Like they get to go and see me, which is like really amazing. Um yeah, it's so crazy. But yeah, that's like my journey. Like it's wild, and I go into detail just because like I hope someone's listening to this and is like, wow, it's like a lot. Um,
Oh
it's
yeah,
so fun. It's so
so
fun.
yes. Oh my gosh, but those audition processes sound insane for these kind of things. But it's like you just have to keep, you know, you keep hoping and praying and trusting yourself that like it could work out eventually. And it's the
Yeah,
thing of like when you get a no, it doesn't mean it's actually a no. It's like a maybe, but like maybe later. And
yeah,
then things can move from there. And so you just really never truly know anything
yeah.
in this
And
industry.
I like think about it too, and I'm like, if I had gotten the tour that year, then I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't be in the cast that I'm in right now, and the cast that I'm in right now just feels so correct. Like I get to perform a song alongside Fabiola, who is the like Jimmy Awards winner like of 2025. Like she's the same age as my little sister, and she's leading this national tour.
Yeah, she's insane. Oh my
She's
gosh.
amazing, and I like there's just so
Well,
many people I wouldn't be able to like be performing alongside, so many friendships I would not have made if I did not do it. If I either had done it that year or like I didn't go back in for the second year. So I'm a firm believer as well. It's like everything happens for a reason. Rejection isn't rejection, it's like redirection. And like another thing, which is cool part of my process, honestly, I feel like too, May, is like I said during my year in New York, I didn't just stop. I didn't just be like, I can only audition for & Juliet, so I'm not gonna do anything right now. Like I made my off Broadway debut. I made my off Broadway debut. I performed in cabarets with friends. I started like branching out and making a new network for myself, which is amazing. And there's like so many people, so many actors, so many creatives in New York City. I'm so excited to come back once I finally come back after tour. But like, um, yeah, there's so much, and even like, I I got to do a show in DC, which isn't to do technically with anything, but like in that time, like while I was doing that show in DC, like if I hadn't done that show, like if I was on tour, I wouldn't have been able to do that show. Is basically what I'm saying. And because I did that show in DC, like I'm a Helen Hayes, I'm a Helen Hayes nominated like actor in the
yeah.
metropolitan area, which is really cool. Um, and those awards that award show is coming up later in May. Um, yeah, so it's just like things like that, like everything happens for a reason. Like, and in divine timing, it will find you.
Oh, that's just such a cool thing. But it's like you said, you don't stop if things aren't working out. It's like, oh, you just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Um, But once like, you're cast and you're like, okay, we're doing this. Because I think I'm thinking of equating it to is like when you get into college and then you're like, I did it. And then you're like, wait, I have to do it now. I can't just like, I don't just get the happiness of having it. You're like, oh, I have to do the work. I have to actually perform. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly how many shows a week you guys are doing, but I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
we do 8 shows a week.
repertoire. Oh my God. Like
Yeah.
that's just absolutely insane. Um, and so like, with now being in the show and having done it for quite a while, I don't know how many months yet, but just
Yeah.
quite a bit. Like what is your favorite part of performing in the show, whether it be a song or a moment?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. Literally, like, okay, so, but to answer a couple of your questions, like, we perform 8 times a week. I feel like the only times we ever don't, I don't think actually there have been any weeks where there's not 8 shows a week. Because throughout my time, and we also for your brain, we started in late September. So I've been with the show since technically since September, but I was in rehearsals with the show since late August as well.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, we do 8 shows a week. Since I started, we haven't canceled any shows. I've called out a couple times because like literally like I called out of my third and fourth show ever because I lost my voice just because I was with rehearsals and also just like celebrating, and I cried so much when we opened. Like I literally cried so much that I lost my voice. Which was crazy, and that's like never happened to me in that way before, but yeah, luckily I have like my understudy was from the first Europe tour. So Joji was like, no worries, I got this. And like it's so I love them so much. They are like my savior for that. Always ready to go on for May. Um they went on for May like twice this week because I was sick. Um but yeah, my favorite moments in the show though, I always tell, and this is like what I tell like the press whenever I have to do like interviews and stuff. Like it's always a toss up for me between Domino and everybody. And it's not a spoiler for you, but I mean, if you don't want spoilers, like there's a boy band number.
Watching, they probably see.
That's
That's really,
right.
and if
We're
not, that's
on
okay.
Broadway Corner, baby. You have
Yes,
to
we
know.
are.
But yeah, and I like those two numbers because I'm the only one who's in both the girl group number and the boy band number. Because I treat Domino like the girl group. Like, come on, girls, let's go. We're gonna go party in Paris. Like, let's go have the time of our lives. Because like
Yeah.
that's basically it. Like, our director has told us like the main objective of Domino is to like have fun, spiral out of control, and also like the objective is to get the nurse to come out and party with us. So it's always so much fun. Kay, who plays our nurse, like just like dancing around and doing different things to like get them to like have fun with us. Um, yeah. So I always go between those two, but recently, right now, Domino has been my favorite number to perform. It's also the first number that May is in. So like everybody in the audience is introduced to May. So like this girl group, honestly, really like I think that's the first number the nurse is in. So both of us, it's like our introduction to the audience, which is really fun.
No, that's one of my favorites in the show. And then
Yeah,
obviously the boy band moment is also just great. Everyone is always going crazy for that one.
it's up
Um,
there. It's a really good one.
yeah, and I feel like and Juliet is one of those shows too where the song starts and then everyone's like, this song's in this show too, and like everyone kind of freaks out and
Yeah,
has that those jukebox musical moments.
yeah.
Uh, but do you have like any backstage rituals?
Ooh, okay. So literally, like my whole like everything is like depending on the day, I like to give myself a lot of time to get ready. Um, However, on the weekends for 2 show days, I prioritize my sleep just because the vocal track in the show is not a joke. Like May sings so high. And in every song that May is in, like there's high stuff that I'm singing. Um, so weekends I prioritize sleep, and I do my makeup really quick on weekends. But I've gotten really good at it, so I kind of know what I'm doing. But I always like to get to the room. I'm typically the first one because I'm typically always sharing the dressing room with Romeo and Francois. We call it the Rome Soir dressing room.
That.
So I'm typically the first one there. I'm always like doing my makeup. I like to check in with the cast, say hi to everyone. The girls are always there getting ready because they have to do a full face and they have to get wigs on, and do
Mm,
wig prep and everything. So I'll always like go over to the girls and be like, hey, like how's everyone doing? You check in with everyone. You kiki a little bit. Um,
mhm,
but yeah, and I have like a vocal warm up that I do after I'll typically like do my full face. I'll start vocally warming up while I put on my costume. I don't physically warm up until I put my corset on because I want to be able to understand what kind of movement I'm working
yeah,
with every day. And
yeah.
typically Fridays and Thursdays are wash days, like when our corsets get washed and our costumes get
Mm,
washed. Like they get
mhm.
sprayed down every night, but like those are the days they get like dry cleaned. So so literally like on Fridays, I feel like especially this past week on Friday, like my corset was like it was like so tiny and I was like, ooh, it's gonna be a tough one today. Like
Ah,
so you're always
it's like,
doing that. Yeah. There are also like there's certain things, like vocal things that I always do before I go on stage. Like my first line is Juliet and I do it way higher than what I just did right now. But so like people will just hear me like down the halls and like around backstage just going Juliet, Juliet, Juliet. Like they'll just hear me like I'm a crazy person. Like I'm sure locals like local dressers or local like carpenters and stuff like that, they're like, oh my goodness, that person is crazy. But I that's one of my like vocal things that I do every day, and I also sing the first thing that I sing, pull me like a bass drum, sparking up a rhythm. Like I sing that over and over. And the funny reason why I do that one is because one time I sang those lyrics so wrong. And I think I said, sparking up a rhythm. And I just like, I kind of laughed at myself on stage. I did that in Reno, Nevada.
uh-huh.
I did the lyrics wrong and I just like kind of laughed at myself on stage and then I continued with the song.
Yeah, it
So
happens, it
ever
happens to
since,
all of us eventually.
everyone has their moments. Everyone has their moments, and trust. There's so many funny moments in the show where like we've either broke character or like said the wrong thing or like somebody missed something and it's just very silly. So like we have fun, but yeah, because of that mess up, like I always I always do that vocal line before I go on stage.
Yeah.
And I
Hey,
always
what things
I
to
try
get
to
ready.
connect with people. I'm really like about connecting with everybody in the show because honestly in my track I wouldn't say I don't get to connect with a lot of the players, but like it's a lot of the same people that I get to connect with. So anytime I can, I try and connect with people backstage too. Um, the Charmian solo, which is the pre-show dance solo that happens in the players. In our cast, it's played by Bex, and Bex is amazing. Bex has also done it on Broadway. Bex is such an amazing dancer. Like just recently, she got full permission from the choreographers to like fully improv it. So now, like, there used to be set choreo and then like 2 counts of improv, but now she like goes ham, and every day it's different. And I always make it a point to watch her pre-show solo because it's like it's true. Like she's the dance. Charmian is the dance captain of the players and of this traveling troupe of Shakespeare's troupe. So Charmian is the dance captain. So Charmian shows up and like warms everybody up and like gets everybody like hyped for the show. So like it really helps me like ground myself and feel like I'm ready to do the show.
It's a very positive show, so I'm sure it's not too hard. At least it's not like a downer where you're like,
Oh
oh,
my
I need
gosh,
to
yeah.
yourself out of this. You're like, wait, this is so lovely and happy
Yeah.
and great. And we don't have too much time left because, ballet, and I'm sure you have lots of things you need to do today. To wrap it up, like what does representation mean to you when it comes to Anne Juliet? Because you get to, I think, explore different sides of yourself, not just being non-binary, but also like this isn't originated by a mixed like Asian and like Latino Latinx person as well.
Yeah.
And so, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's like such it feels like the biggest honor to be able to represent so many communities on the national level. It's like so amazing. Like you said, I don't just represent um, non-binary slash trans individuals. Granted, that is a majority of what I'm asked to represent in playing the role of May. And I've met kids at the stage door who like they tell me I'm non-binary and I want to do theater and I didn't know if I could do it, but seeing you on stage like means I can do it and it tells me I should do it. And I'm like, absolutely, like you
Yeah.
can do this. Anybody can do this if you put your mind to it, if you practice, if you work hard at it, you can totally be a performer. So it's amazing. And then I like meet like families of color like in the most random places too because like we've gone like and we are going anywhere and everywhere. And I mean that in the sense of like we started in California, very liberal, very diverse, very mixed, like diverse kinds of people. And then we went to places like Texas. We've been to Tennessee. We've been to Alabama. And even in those cities and states in the South that are majority red states, like there are people who share their love with me and extend their love to me, whether it be like families of color, families that have a trans or non-binary kid, trans like parents, honestly too. I've met like I feel like I've seen it all, and I'm gonna continue to see it more, which makes me so happy. So basically, like honestly, to like round up that question that you asked, like the representation of this show and the representation that I get to uphold in this show is so special because I get to see and meet so many people all around the States and Canada. Um, they get to just like see themselves in me. They see whether they get to see someone in me, whether it's themselves, like their daughter, their kid, their son, their sibling, their friend, their parent, their neighbor. They see something in me, which makes me feel so good, and I know it makes them feel so good. Um, it's just so special, and I like can't explain more how amazing it is and how lucky I am and grateful I am that I'm able to do this across the nation right now. It's so amazing. It's so amazing.
It really is. Well, Nico, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm so glad we had this, found time to just talk and, get to chat all about your journey. I think you're one of those like success stories in terms of like Boko that feels more connected to us because you were there at the same time we were. And so it's like see you go off and do all these great things is really cool just for us, and I'm sure it feels even better to be doing it. So congratulations and just thanks so much. And thanks to
Oh,
everyone who'll be listening. Hope you have a great day and see you next time.
thank you,
Bye.
thank you.
You've been listening to Broadway Corner with Ashley Haw. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.